Everybody, Jennifer Moore here with the Sewing Report, and in this video I'm going to show you how to cut your fabric. I've got my cutting table all set up, and let me tell you a little bit about my supplies. I've got a 24 by 36 inch Alvin brand self-healing cutting mat. I think I got it for around $35 or so on Amazon a few years ago, and it still looks brand new. It's terrific. Every once in a while I do give it a little bath in water just because it kind of helps keep it to be that self-healing properties. So I've also got my Gingher brand rotary cutter. I love Gingher brand scissors and cutting implements. The quality is fantastic and it just feels really solid in your hand. I love it. I also love Creative Grids rulers. I can't say enough good things about them. They work fantastic, they're sturdy, and they also have a really nice non-skid back so that when you've got your fabric on there, it doesn't really slide around if you're holding it. I've used other brands of rulers where when you try to pull it down on something, it just keeps slipping, but these Creative Grids rulers are the real deal. And I also got this one off of Amazon as well. Links to all the products are below because I actually got most of my quilting supplies off of Amazon. I've also got my fabric, and then I am going to be making the retro plaid quilt. It's a pattern that was done by my friend Susie Quilts, and I'm looking at the cutting guide. So I'm actually going to be needing, let's see here, I'm going to need 4 5.5 inch by 36 inch strips and 1 5.5 inch square. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm not really sure what the square is for. Oh, I think it's for the middle maybe? So let's get started and we'll cut into this fabric. Okay, so for this next bit, you're not going to be able to see my face because it's more important that you see what is going on down here. So at the end you'll see me pop up again, but for now you've got to see the cutting table. So for this pattern I need 4 5.5 inch by 36 inch strips and 1 5.5 inch square. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to square my edges. So like when this gets lined up, it's not even, so we've got to even it out. So I'm actually going to flip this piece of fabric. I'm going to kind of turn it around, but in the video on ironing, we showed you how to fold the selvage edges, but you want your selvage edges folded to each other. And I also like to press my fabric. I really just seem to like to do it with the wrong sides facing out. I don't know why, that's just usually the way that I end up rolling. So I'm actually going to fold some of the excess over, and yeah, you can see here, like this is, you know, if I go to cut it, it's not going to even out. So I'm actually going to just sort of lay this flat here, and then I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm actually going to sort of line this up. We're just going to chop this part off. I'm going to find, see, this is the spot that's the furthest in, so I'm going to sort of line it up here. And then I usually try to match up the fold line with one of the lines on my rulers. Again, you don't have to do it this way, this is just the way I usually roll, so. Alright, and at the top, this should generally kind of match up with the selvage, but not perfectly because the selvage edge is not perfectly straight. And again, this doesn't have to be an exact science, it'll be okay. The quilt police aren't coming after you. So I've got this pretty well set up. And also, since there's a print on there, I can sort of generally see that this is fairly straight. So, okay, so I've got my line. I'm just going to press down on my hand, and I'm gonna take my rotary cutter. This one has a safety on it, so if you push down on the button, you see I can't like cut myself here. Can't cut myself, but if you take it away, this is where I could actually get into some real danger here. So I'm just going to press down on the ruler. This is why I love Creative Grids. Start at the back, start at the closest to me, and you never really want to cut towards yourself. You want to cut away from yourself. And I'm just going to start at the back at the side of the ruler and just start going. You may have to change your placement of your hand as you go along. All right. Oh, I missed a little spot. Sometimes this will happen. My cutting blade isn't super sharp, so you may have to go over a spot. So it's always important too to make sure your fabric cut all the way through before you take the ruler away. All right. So now I've got a nice flat edge to work with, and doing the 5.5 inch strip should be pretty easy because I've got these lines with my ruler. Anything over 8.5 inches, then you have to line up your fabric with the markings on the cutting mat, but for anything smaller, you don't really have to worry about the placement of the fabric on the mat. You really just have to worry about the mark corresponding to your lines with the fabric. So now, I'm actually not going to cut it. I'm not going to cut my fabric like this because I'm not, not cutting with my left hand. So, keeping it like this, I'm actually going to flip this around. Flip it around, and I'm going to be cutting from my left side. Now let me look at my ruler, and I've got a 5.5 inch mark right here. So that is actually what I'm going to use. I'm just going to put my ruler down. Alright, yeah, it was 5.5 inches by 36. Okay. So I'm just going to line up. You want to line up the edge of your fabric with the 5.5 inch line on your ruler. Okay. I think that looks pretty decent. All right. And I'm also looking at the lines near the fold, and actually that looks pretty good too. So you can kind of use two guides, your vertical line and then your horizontal line, just to make sure that your fabric's squared up, and it looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to go ahead and again do the same thing where you hold your hand down, bring your rotary cutter up. The worst part, you want to make sure it's firm, because if it slips, your measurements will be off and then your fabric won't be a perfect strip. Okay. This is good. So you see this nice clean cut. So I'm actually just going to put this off to the side, and then I'll show you how to further break it down. Typically quilting cotton is 42 to 44 inches wide, and then the length is however long you've got it cut. But a yard is 36 inches and a half yard is 18 inches. All right, so we're just going to do another 5.5 inch line, and I'll also link up where to get Susie's pattern, the retro plaid quilt. It's an awesome pattern, and apparently can be made very quickly, so I'm going to try to do this. I haven't tried any of her quilt patterns yet, but I've got my fabric all pulled, and I'll show you where to download it because it is free. She teamed up with Birch Fabrics, and it's available on the Birch Fabrics website. Alright, so I've got my second 5.5 inch line here. I'm just gonna, and again, notice I've got my hand pretty firmly planted down, and I'm moving it as I get, and see my ruler shifted a little bit, so you just have to shift it back. Okay, there's one spot that didn't quite catch. I'm just gonna be very careful. Get that last section. This usually doesn't happen if your rotary cutter blade is new. Mine has been used for a few projects. I just need, and actually so I need 4 strips of 5.5 inch by 36 inch, and then I need one 5.5 inch square. So I actually should only need to cut 4 strips, and then I can subcut my 5.5 inch square off of the excess of one of the strips, because 42 minus 36 is 6, right? Yes, wait, 36, yeah, it's at least 6 inches, so I should have plenty. Alright, so I need 2 more. Alright, so see how nice this is? I'm really glad her pattern has lots of strips like this, because it's making the cutting pretty easy. And many quilt patterns, usually you're able to use with a rotary cutter because they're straight lines, or triangles. Okay, one more. we go. Okay. Wow, this is pretty fast. Just have the other 4, and I think this quilt has, okay. So here's what you do if you cut a straight line and then you notice this is off. So all I have to do is kind of line this up again. And then I'll just recut that section. That happens if you, and it usually happens if you're not pushing down hard enough, or in my case, if your rotary cutter blade is a bit old. So see, yeah, this is pretty perfect, so it should be fine. I'm just gonna take my rotary cutter and just get that last little bit. Let's see here. Here we go. All right, so I need 1 more strip, and then we're gonna subcut these into 5.5 by 36. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, 1 more. Have to make sure to press down hard this time. Okay, good. Okay, good here. So I'm just gonna take my cutting away from me. Firmly plant it down. You want to make sure your hand is firmly planted before you start cutting. Okay, 1 more section. This keeps happening. Let's see here. So again, I'm showing you how to fix this so that you don't have any issues. Okay. Pretty much just this little section here. Okay, I'm just going to right here. And this isn't really gonna matter because that's at the end. Okay. So now I'm got some extras in case I've got another project that I want to make with the dinosaur print. Just gonna fold this up kind of neatly. This is usually how I like to fold my fabric. Okay. I just usually like to fold it into thirds for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Okay, let me just get rid of this. Alright, and for this next part, I'm actually going to use my air and water soluble pen. This is a great pen. I use it all the time, and again, I'll link this below to where you can get this. But usually I pick it up on a sale. There's a website called like Wawak Sewing, W-A-W-A-K, and they have lots of sewing supplies, and they're all very, very inexpensive. Their prices are amazing. Okay, so now I've got this strip, and you can see it's definitely longer than 36 inches. Oops, that's gonna go flying. So it's definitely longer than 36 inches, so I need to cut it down. So the first thing I'm gonna do, this does not matter where it's lined up. I'm just going to take my ruler, actually I'm going to do it from the other side. I'm just going to take my ruler, and basically I'm going to start my strip where the selvage ends, because you don't want your selvage to be included in your strip because it might be showing, and I want to cut this completely off. So I do want to tell you that when you are cutting, make sure to not include the selvages, because one, it's a denser weave than the rest of the fabric, and also because you really don't want this ending up in your project somewhere. So I'm actually just going to use the lines on my ruler to line up horizontally with the fabric. And I'm lining them up, there we go. Alright. So you can see this line is lined up with the fabric, and then this other line is also lined up with the fabric. So I am good to go. Let my rotary cutter go. There we go. So I'm just going to cut this off. Okay. So there's that. Now this cutting mat is 36 inches total. So I can actually, gonna move my ruler out of the way real quick. I'm actually going to, let's see here, line up my strip with the very end of the mat to the other very end. And then I'll kind of show you what I'm doing. I'm actually going to mark a line. I'm not going to cut there. I'm actually just going to mark a line so that I can move it back to a safer spot. So yeah, this is, so yeah, it's marked for 35 inches, but then there's an extra ½ inch on each side. So yeah, there's actually 36. So I'm actually just going to, yeah, this is perfect because I can just line up each end. Okay, so I really just need to, with my pen, and I usually like to use the purple side. I find the blue side, the marks don't come out very well. Even though it says water soluble, it doesn't really come out that great. So I'm just gonna make a little mark where it's 36 inches. All right, let's slide you back. And now I'm actually gonna do the same thing as when I cut off the other end, except I'm also going to, so I'm gonna line up these two horizontal lines here, and I'm also gonna line it up with the purple mark I made. So that's how I know that it's actually 36 inches, right? Okay. Pretty good. All right. So now I'm just gonna move this over a teeny bit. I'd rather have it be a hair too long than a hair too short, right? It's right in the middle. So now that I've lined up these two lines with the purple mark, I'm just gonna cut this again. All right. So now I actually have a perfect piece that's 30, let me just make sure I got that right. Yeah, 36, okay. For a second I was like, is it 36 and a half? But it's not, it's 36. So now I've got my 36-inch piece by 5.5 inches. And I'm gonna go ahead and do that to the rest of the strips, so they all should look like this. And while I'm here, I might as well take this little piece and make my 5.5-inch square. So this is easy. All I have to do is line up 5.5 inches, the 5.5-inch mark, with the two horizontal lines, and then you have a perfect 5.5-inch square. So this is how you do that. Okay, we got this strip all done. And you can kind of tell because this lines up 5.5 inches. You can kind of use your cutting mat to double check your work 5.5 inches. So now we've got a perfect 5.5-inch square, and we also have a 5.5-inch by 36-inch strip. So that is how you cut strips. So that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and it helped you in cutting your fabric. If you liked it, feel free to leave me a comment below, and also give this video a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, subscribe to the Sewing Report channel so you can be notified about all of the latest offerings. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.